This video is brought to you by silicone rubber feet with stainless steel screws, perfect for your professional cutting boards. Now available in large black bulk sizes and white color. And I got my little brown ones. So here they are, the only product on the market that's 100% FDA approved for kitchen use. So get them now while they last. Available in quantity of 4, 8, 24, 72, and 200. And if you want a custom order, just send me a message and I'll put it together for you. So, got done cleaning my shop. It took quite an effort. Alright, so I got one little bit of cleaning left to do here. I just need to sweep up this sand that builds up. But I don't like to suck this up into my vacuum system because it just goes through the pipes and hits the dust collector blower. So I like to get rid of the sand in a different way so it doesn't go through the system. So I use a shop vac for those tasks, and I keep one in the shop just for cleaning up sand and broken glass and things that spill onto the floor that are not magnetic. Otherwise I can just pick it up with a magnet. So anyways, I do need a shop vac, but I don't use it very often because my dust collection has ports for shop vac hose. I got one right here, there's another one on the wall, another one there, and another one over there. So I can reach the shop vac hose and cover the whole area of the shop. So I don't need a shop vac, but I used to when I didn't have my upgraded system. So here's a shop vac that I keep in the shop, and it's a little different. I'm going to demonstrate what this does. One of my pet peeves about shop vacs, at least the ones you buy in hardware stores, are the cheap plastic wheels that come on all of them. And as you can see, my shop floor is not very forgiving. These boards have character, yes, but very uneven. The knots stick up, and it's hard to roll anything on this floor. So I had a shop vac where the wheels broke off. They just couldn't take it. And I had to figure out a way to replace with a new base using better shop grade casters. So I came up with that, and this is a smaller version that I did later. My original larger shop vac burnt out, so I don't use it anymore. But this is a smaller one that I built. And what this base does is it incorporates better quality casters. These aren't very big wheels, but the larger the wheel, the heavier it gets. So it's got the better quality wheels, but it also has a garden cart tire that spins independently, and the shop vac itself spins independently. So the wheels, the base will spin, the tire spins, and this spins. So it's just kind of this weird thing. But what it does, the tire makes it so that when you're dragging the shop vac around on the floor, it doesn't get caught up on stuff. It bounces around it like that. And that's what I wanted to do. You know, because before you try to tug on the shop vac with the hose and it just gets caught up on the corners, but this just bounces around. It goes all the way around things. And kind of acts as a bumper. So it's a lot less likely to get caught up and snagged on things. It was just an idea that I had to improve on shop vacs. But the drawback is that the extra tire and the heavy duty casters add some weight, and then I have to add these plywood pieces. So that might add like an extra, maybe 10 pounds to it, which, it's a lot more weight to drag around. So if I was going to do this again, and I came up with some ideas, I would make it so that the canister is detachable from the tire base, because when I empty out the canister I have to pick the whole thing up, and it's a little bit more cumbersome. And I would also make the plywood substrate maybe a 1/2 inch and drill some big holes in it to minimize the weight, just to keep that down a little bit. So I'll take this apart a little bit just to show you how I built this. It's got a bolt that runs all the way through. So it's supported on one large bolt, which is kind of like the center pin axle, and that fits inside the bearing of the garden cart tire. So it's pretty simple. And if it wasn't for the extra weight, it would really work perfectly. I don't know, something you might want to try if you use a shop vac a lot and you just want to kind of entertain people when they come over. It just kind of looks funny. But the tire really does help if you have a lot of obstacles in the shop and your shop vac is always, getting caught up, and you have to tug on things, and then you're pulling out the hose, you're pulling out the wire. Shop vacs are a pain in the neck for a number of reasons, but this simplified a couple things and made it work better, but I don't use it that often anymore. But there was a time when I did all of my sweeping with the shop vac, so it really kind of drove me nuts how many times the thing would just get hung up on stuff, and I'd have to empty it out like every 10 minutes. And okay, so I'm going to just take this apart real quick and show you how I put it together if you want to try something like this yourself. Okay, so here are the parts to make the bumper car shop vac base. So this is a garden cart tire. It's 20 inches in diameter, and it has a shaft that is 3/4 inch. So this is a 3/4 inch bolt, 6 inches long, and it just threads right into the plywood. So I don't need a nut. And I got 2 3/4 inch washers. And so these are the parts that I made out of 3/4 inch plywood. And if I was going to do this again, I would make this base differently. I could actually cut all this out here. I don't need to use a solid circle. So I could minimize that construction to make that lighter. But I'm not going to take the time to do that now, because this is not really an important tool for me. So just to note, when you do this, if you're going to drill holes in your shop vac, it's not going to be waterproof anymore. So just to keep that in mind, it will void the warranty of your shop vac. So I'm just going to put this back together. It's really simple. And there's probably other ways to do it. I could actually use a Lazy Susan for the spinner. But this is a way to use just the garden cart and a bolt, and it kind of minimizes all the other moving parts. So I'm going to show you a different method of using a shop vac if you have a central dust collection system. Because one of the big drawbacks about the shop vac is the filters that are inside them. And they work pretty good for maybe like the first 2 minutes. And then when you soak up enough fine dust, that gets clogged up in the filter and your efficiency goes way down. These little filters in here don't last very long at all. When I did my shop before, I would have to change the filter 3 times to cover the whole floor. I could never do it in just one filter cycle. I would have to stop at least twice and go outside and bang off the dust on the filter. And then it's all over you, even if you're outside. I mean, that fine dust that's in the filter gets on your clothes. So, it's just a messy job. It made sweeping the floor undesirable and, messy work. I'm going to give you a lesson in shop vac right now and why these things are not very efficient. They suck up really well. The velocity that you get on these machines can really perform pretty well. Okay, so they suck up really good, but the problem is they blow out pretty strong as well. So there's a current of air that comes out in the back of these shop vacs. And I didn't realize this was a serious problem until I had this moment where I was using it in my apartment. I was doing a clean and using my shop vac to do the sweeping. And I kept blowing the papers off the fridge. I had all these photographs, and little notes on the fridge. And every time I would get in there with the shop vac, all the papers would fly off the refrigerator because the exhaust that comes off the back of the shop vac is powerful enough to just yank them right off the fridge. So that made me think about how much dust that must be kicking up. If I'm using this in the shop and I've got the filter in it and I'm doing all my cleaning, what's going on in the back of this machine? If I'm directing a jet of air into this corner here, where all the fine dust kind of settles over time, like all of these little spaces under here, I can't really get in there and clean everything. But every time I would sweep with the shop vac, it would kick up all this dust. And I wasn't realizing it until I had this interaction with the fridge and the papers, because then I could see the papers flying off. You can't really see the fine dust that kicks up. Unless it's like first thing in the morning when the light is really low, it comes in, you can see dust particles in the air. But at any other given time of the day, you're not going to see dust kicking up. Okay? So shop vacs suck up a lot of dust, but they kick up a lot of dust because this air current in back of it is so strong. It's really not practical. And it really is counterproductive to be sucking up dust that's on the floor, and meanwhile you're kicking up all the fine dust that settles in the corners of the room and on the shelves. And, dust is terrible. You got to understand how to manage it. Shop vacs are not the best way to manage it. So, but there is a way that you can improve this and still use the shop vac. And I actually hook it up to my central vac system. So I'm running my dust collector and the shop vac at the same time. But I don't have to have the filter in it. I got no filter in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up the exhaust to my dust collection system like that. Now this won't change how the shop vac sucks dust up. It's not going to make it work better. I can't guarantee that it's good for the machine or the motor because it's, spinning as the electricity is on. But all of the exhaust that's coming out and back of the shop vac is now controlled and isolated into my dust collection system. And that enables me to use the shop vac and do what it does best without having to worry about it kicking up a lot of dust and changing the dust filter, every time. This can run continuously. So that's one of the advantages. So I'm going to use this to sweep up the sand, and the sand is going to collect in the bucket, and it's not going to go through my dust collection system, which is my goal.